Hey, Arlo, Olive, and Frank. Grandpa coming to you from living room in Jack's Beach. Welcome to another story time with Grandpa. Today we're going to look at one from the Rand McNally book of favorite nursery classics. And the one we're looking at today, I don't know why the kid left a kitten picture in there, but kid's missing a kitten picture someplace. We're going to look at Jack and the Beanstalk. Once there was a poor widow who had an only son named Jack. He was good-natured and affectionate, but lazy. As time went on, the widow grew poorer and poorer until she had nothing left but her cow. And all the time, Jack grew lazier and lazier. One day, Jack's mother said to him, "Tomorrow you must take the cow to market. The more money you get for her, the better, for we have nothing left to live on." Next morning, Jack got up earlier than usual, hung a horn around his shoulder, and started out with the cow. On the way to market, he met a queer little old man. And here's the mom kvetching at Jack. "Good morning, my lad," said the queer little old man. "Where may you be going with that fine cow?" "I'm taking her to market," replied Jack. "As if you had enough wit enough to sell cows. A bit of a lad that doesn't even know how many beans make 5. "Two in each hand and one in your mouth," answered Jack with a quickness that would have made his mother proud. "Oh ho!" laughed the queer little old man. "Oh ho! Since you know beans, suppose you look at these," and he held out his hand filled with rainbow-colored beans. "I'll give you all of these for your cow." So what do you think of this deal here? So there's the queer little old man with his beans. Handful of beans. That would be a good bargain, thought Jack. So he traded the cow for the beans and he hurried home. "Look, Mother," he said gleefully as he poured the beans into her lap. "I got all these pretty beans for the cow." What do you think Mom's going to say? Like, "Hey, good boy, we're having beans for dinner." No. "You stupid boy," she cried. "Now we shall have to starve." And she flung the beans out of the open window. And here she is doing that. Flinging them right out the old window. The next morning, Jack woke early. He ran into the garden and found a beanstalk had sprung up during the night from the beans his mother had thrown away, and it had grown so quickly its top was out of sight. So it grew up so far up that he couldn't even see the top of it. Jack began to climb, and he climbed, and he climbed until he reached the top. He stepped off into the sky and walked on until he met a beautiful woman with a face like a star. And here he is walking up the old beanstalk. Jack going up the beanstalk. Now the lady was a fairy, and she knew what Jack was thinking and answered him without his asking any questions. She told Jack he was in a country that belonged to a wicked giant. This giant had killed Jack's father and stolen all his gold and precious things. Jack had been only a baby at that time, and his mother had been too sad ever to talk to him about it. I wonder if that wicked giant was Michael Strahan. "If you and your mother are ever going to be happy again," said the fairy, "you must punish that giant." She whispered in Jack's ear, telling him what to do. Then she left, and Jack walked on. Toward evening, he came to the door of a castle. He blew his horn. Remember, he had this horn that he had over his shoulder. And a cook, as broad as she was tall, opened the door. "I am very tired and hungry," said Jack politely. "Can you give me supper and a night's lodging?" And here's Jack with the cook. So you can see this. "You little know, my poor lad, what you ask." So it's a strange way of saying it. She's saying, "You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're asking me. A giant lives here, and he eats people. He would be sure to find you and eat you for supper. It would never do." And she shut the door. But Jack was too tired to go another step, so he blew his horn again, and when the cook came to the door, he begged her to let him in. She began to cry, but at last led Jack into the kitchen. Soon he was enjoying a good meal and quite forgetting to be afraid. But before he had finished, there came a thump, thump, thump of heavy feet, and in less than no time, the cook had popped Jack into the great oven to hide. When this guy eats people, I don't know if I'd want to hide in his oven. He'll make people pie out of you. Or maybe banana nut people bread, something like that. The giant walked in, sniffing the air. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he live or be he dead, I'll grind up his bones to make my bread." So he is going to make bread out of him, he thundered. "You are dreaming," laughed the cook, "but there is something better than dreams in this dish." So the giant stopped sniffing and sat down to supper. Through a hole in the oven, Jack peeped out and watched the giant eat. When all the dishes were empty, the giant bade the cook, "Bring me my hen." She brought a much ruffled hen and put it on the table. "Lay," shouted the giant, and the hen laid a golden egg. Again and again, the giant shouted his orders in a voice of thunder, and again the hen obeyed, till there were 12 golden eggs on the table. Then the giant went to sleep and snored so loud that the house shook. So let's see if I can get this to you so you can see the whole thing without covering any of it. So there's that chicken laying golden eggs, and the giant's mad but also getting sleepy, and his bowl says giant on it, and his I'm sure that's Michael Strahan. His cup says G for giant. When the biggest snore of all had shaken Jack out of the oven, he seized the hen and ran off as fast as he could to the top of the beanstalk. He climbed quickly down and carried the wonderful hen to his mother. Day after day the hen laid its golden eggs, and by selling them, Jack and his mother might have lived in luxury all their lives. But think about it. There's a loose end to tie up. So here he is going down. But Jack kept thinking about that wicked giant who had killed his father and the fairy's command. So one day he climbed the beanstalk again. This time he had dressed himself to look like a different person, as he did not want the cook to know him. And sure enough, when the woman came to the door, she did not recognize the lad she had hidden in the oven. So here he is in his disguise. Knock, knock, knocking on the door. "Please," said Jack, "can you give me food and a place to rest? I am hungry and tired." "You can't come in here," answered the cook. "Once before I took in a tired and hungry young runaway, and he stole my master's precious hen that lays golden eggs." But Jack talked to the cook so pleasantly that she thought it would be unkind to grudge him a meal. After Jack had a good supper, the cook turned over an empty kettle and hid him under it. So here's Jack coming to the door. And then here he is under the kettle. And it was none too soon either, for in stalked the giant, thump, 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 sniffing the air. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he live or be he dead, I'll grind up his bones to make my bread. He bellowed. Stuff and nonsense, laughed the cook, and she placed his supper on the table. After supper, the giant shouted, Fetch me my harp. And the cook brought in a beautiful harp with strings of pure gold. Play, commanded the giant, and the harp began to play all by itself. Soon the giant's snores drowned the sweet music. Then Jack jumped from under the kettle and seized the harp. But no sooner had he slung it over his shoulder than it cried out, Master, master. So this harp doesn't just play itself, it talks. For it was a fairy harp. Jack was frightened and ran for his life toward the top of the beanstalk. He could hear the giant running behind him. Thump, thump, thump. Jack reached the top of the beanstalk and slid down it as quick as lightning, calling out as he went, Mother, mother, the axe, the axe. And here is the scene. So he's yelling, the axe, and she's got the axe in her hand. And he's coming down there, he's got the harp. Jack's mother, holding out the axe, met him as he touched the ground. There was no time to lose, for the giant was already halfway down. With one slashing blow, Jack cut the beanstalk. There was a crash, and the giant lay at his feet in the garden. They're lucky that he didn't land on their house. Then Jack told his mother all the story, and as for the wonderful beanstalk, it never grew again. And here he is, kind of like David and Goliath, like. Except doesn't say that he cut the giant's head off. The giant had one tooth. One tooth. Hey guys, peace out. See you next time.